Hello and welcome to Digging with Dugan. Today we're going to be picking up where we left off with the prehistory of Egypt in the late Neolithic period. In reality, I hope this episode to be a build-up and prep work for a tale that we're going to be telling next, which is, at least in part, based on reality and comes from actual archaeological evidence that was made by people. It's a little more than pottery shards, but as you'll see, it's not much more than pottery shards. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So at this time period, we have enough evidence to say that people could read and write, but this was held strictly for the extreme elite. You would never find a commoner being able to write or read because, strictly speaking, papyrus, what they'd be writing on, well, papyrus or leather would be extremely expensive, and even to begin to learn to read and write would be, too much of an undertaking for a commoner. And so, that said, many of the cities throughout Egypt are flourishing in this time period. They've become true city-states with, kings and chieftains. There were almost certainly more independent city-states than history records, but in the time period we're coming up to, at least legend will state that there were two kingdoms in Egypt. But it'd likely be more accurate to say that there were two large kingdoms and a couple of little city-states that'll get stepped on. And all that aside, there is one thing that I'm yet to do true justice, and that is the importance of the River Nile. Now, we discussed how the lands outside of the River Nile had slowly died and the Sahara had formed. Because of that, the Nile is everything. There is no Egypt outside of the Nile. There is only, barren desert and a few oases. It is nothing out there. And so Egypt is not only the source of all life, but the source of all trade. The Nile acted as a highway, basically, allowing people to catch fish, travel quickly, trade with others, and make war on others quite easily. So, all of that aside, now we have to get into the ethnic makeup of the Egyptians. As mentioned before, this is a topic of contention, but I like to consider myself unbiased. And so in the north, the further north you go, really, the lighter the skin of the people will get. But as we go south and we pass the Fayum basis, the people become more and more dark-skinned, as there is significant admixture throughout Egypt, but more in the south, from the people known as the Nubians. In the modern day, they have their own country. I think it's called Ethiopia, and they're famous for being extremely dark-skinned, very tall peoples. The area was known by the Egyptians as the land of the bow, the bow people, and the Nubians are famous for being used as mercenary archers later in history. And so, yeah, I believe that should work for our build-up. Next, we will be doing dramatic telling of the Namer Palet. This is our first foot we have in proper history, though some people claim this is legend. I myself believe there's at least a good bit of truth to it, too much evidence, and there's really nothing existing to contradict it. And so, Damer or Meanies will be who we will cover next. And, hope you enjoy.